Oh boy, I took a shower, forgot my tilak, so please forgive me. Yeah, I like tilak. Tilak is the symbol. It's actually one of the panch samskaras. The panch samskaras are initiation. One thing is urdhvam. It means the sense of belonging to a particular line from God, and it's marked by tilak, meaning I belong to such and such. So I like to put on tilak, and I like to chant the mantras. I got it finally down after 50 years. Himalatradi, would you like one of those sticks?
I don't know how to use them.
I can show you. It's really, it makes it look first class.
Okay.
And I like to use the Radha Kund because the Gopi Chandan, it cracks immediately. I like to use the Radha Kund because it stays on. And I just read I'm trying to read Krishna book every morning. I read about, when Krishna's in danger, how they sanctify the body with certain mantras. So it's actually, we should have faith that it is a type of protection, more for bhakti than anything else, but it's a type of protection that we chant the mantra. You have one of those stamps for the other?
No, no stamps.
The one that makes the tilak perfect.
No.
It's just so easy then. All right, I'll give you one of those too. Okay. Greetings from Govardhan. We'll start today. Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 50. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sva-japyaṁ gauravād devyās tathāntaḥ-sukha-lābhat. Aḥatyajann ekadā svapne paśyat tan-mantra-devatām. Still, out of respect for the goddess and because it gave him pleasure within, he never gave up chanting his mantra, and one day he saw the deity of his mantra in a dream. Purport. The Pragyotish Pura Brahmana's faith was damaged by the impersonal propaganda he heard in Kasi, by which his hope to meet the Lord of the universe was replaced with a false hope to merge into oneness. Nonetheless, he went on with his mantra japa because he held the goddess Kamakya in awe and was unwilling to violate her order. Despite his weakened faith in the mantra, it continued to exert its transcendental influence. His heart could derive no substantial contentment from the promises of the Vedanta text, because he spontaneously felt more gratification from chanting Lord Gopal's mantra. Because the Brahman's attraction to liberation could never have been dispelled had Sri Gopal, the deity of his mantra, not personally appeared in his dream, or perhaps his hope for liberation would have dissipated anyway by the power of the mantra. In any case, his heart changed. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmulatam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram in Dangati, Govardhan. Yeah, it's real wonderful. There's a retreat going on with Srila Swami and this Gauranga Darshan. And most of it is Gauranga Darshan. He spoke 3 hours by the side of Govardhan Hill on the Bhagavatam. And he's really an incredible Vaishnav. The way he's speaking about Uddhava in Vrindavan, and the way he's verse after verse and the detailed explanations. But I'm so embarrassed today because I was taking lunch with Bhakti-Vigyan Goswami, and this was also Krishna's arrangement. I was in anxiety. I made that lunch appointment before. I didn't want to disappoint him, but I didn't want to miss the katha at Govardhan Valley, right by the side of Govardhan Hill. It's quite, and the weather, it's pleasant. So I thought maybe I'll take a rickshaw there, but the program ended at 1 o'clock and lunch starts at 11:30, so I was walking out about 5 after 12, and I said, I'll go there with a rickshaw, and And then, as I'm walking out of Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, someone comes out. Like, he looks like a very handsome, respectable 40-year-old man, like a Western. And he said, my wife saw you walking by. Would you like a ride? And he had a nice motorbike, and I said, sure. And I said, maybe should I go? Should I not go? But I thought, with the motorbike, you get there in 10 minutes. I said, would you like to go? He said, sure, I can drop you off. I said, would you like to stay? He said, yeah, I'll stay and I can drive you back. So it took about 10 minutes. And when I got there, Gauranga Darshan got off the Bhagavatam seat. I'm walking to pay obeisances. I felt embarrassed to disturb the whole thing. But when he met me later, I realized, especially these intellectual Indians, they've all read Waves of Devotion, and they're all indebted to me for Waves of Devotion. And they all say the same thing. We never would have understood it. I read this. And Satyananda Swami's personal servant is also the chief kirtaneer. He's wonderful. So that was kind of nice. And then last night, in my little travelogue, I think you enjoy it, this ashram, since I've installed this Haridas Varya Shila, the place is rocking. And I think Mother Narayani, sometimes she's on the Sanga, but it's a wonderful Vaishnavi from Switzerland that I think Raghunath may have introduced to Krishna consciousness. She's really wonderful. And they're in the hotel next door with Kripa Moyi. So she said, can we come over for kirtan? So Hemalath Radha is here to help me. So I said, go get the garland. She's so intelligent, she got 5. And I'm glad she did. And so I said to Raghunath and Mara, let's wait outside with the garlands, because now we heard it's Kripa Moyi and his wife. And it's like they turn the corner and they keep on coming. How are they all going to fit into my house? So, altogether there was 31 people. And we all fit comfortably. It was like amazing. And Raghunath led kirtan, and Kripamoya, spoke a little bit, and I wasn't expecting, but he asked me to say at the beginning and blessing at the end. But the acoustics in this room and the kirtans, Kripamoya's son was playing the mridanga. The kirtans were just kind of so. And then, because we got Giriraj Mistambandha, we got one of those luglus, Hemalatharada. I want to show them my favorite sweet in Govardhan before we get to the philosophy. You put it in there. I mean, Kripamoya's wife said, "Oh my God, the original luglus, these sweets almost conquered New York. They used to serve them on the subways and ask for donations, and people were just crazy. A little different recipe, but it was pretty good." And we'll be here for a few days, and then Jai Jagannath, myself, Hemalatharada, Yogamaya, and this David, this really nice guy who's just paying for the whole thing. We're going to go up to Rishikesh, visit Indradunga Swami's festival for a few days, and so many people. Visit my cousin, Maseva Bharti, and then I'll go to Nepal for 2 days because of my visa, which is David kindly is practically paying for the whole thing. Really nice guy. Okay, let's get to the Krishna-katha. Just wanted to give you a flavor of the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. So we know the story, that the story within the story. Satyaraj is writing an article about this story within the story. Nested narrative, it's called. This person tells the story, and he tells the story about someone else to illustrate the story, and they tell, Well, in the story within the story of Sanatana Goswami telling of Jaimini Rishi, telling of Maharaj Parikshit explaining to Uttara on the last day of his life this incredible summary of the message of the Bhagavad. Incredible story of this message of the Bhagavad. When that first book ends with Krishna explaining to Satyabhama why the gopis are the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy, and the explanation of which is the objective for which the book is written, which is the objective of Lord Chaitanya's mission. Jaimini Rishi, Janamejaya, who's hearing it from Jaimini Rishi, wants to hear more. And then Jaimini Rishi says, well, that's good because Uttara wanted to hear more. And what she wanted to hear about is she understood the people, but she wanted to understand the place. And I've spoke several times about this spiritual relationship and material relationship, that love manifests a particular environment to facilitate that love. We have to create it within the absolute reality. It's manifest with that love. So the place indicates the love indicates the place. So she really wants to know about the place where this love is found. And she begins to explain hierarchy of places. And she wants to know where it goes, and has some confusion about Vaikuntha hierarchies, and for what she's heard about the residents of Vrindavan, there must be some special place let me know. I'll be disappointed if I won't hear about that special place. And then Maharaj Prickett, Uttar is asking this question, excuse me, and Maharaj Prickett begins to explain. And he says that there are many ways you can answer a question. But the way he would like to answer the question is to illustrate the answer about what is the topmost place through a story. And just as when we discuss bhakti, Narada looking for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, it went through a progression. It went through a progression of places, just as the Bhāgavatāmṛta, a progression of people in levels of freedom of relationship, intimacy with Krishna. The Bhāgavatāmṛta really, highlights the 10th canto and the gopis. Well, just as that has a progression, and the story of Narada has a similar progression. Now to explain that point and have us understand the glories of Vrindavan, there'll be another journey, he'll tell, about a Brahmin. And I suppose, because I haven't actually read this, I realized that. So I don't want to get to, well, maybe I forgot it. Maybe I have, but anyway, have forgotten or have spoken about it and forgotten about it. It goes through this progression. So, and the story is an ignorant Brahmin who just wants wealth and, just concerned for material things, based on the false ego, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller, based on the false identity with the body, the link between the consciousness of the soul and the body, the false ego, based on that ignorance. And Shastra tries to dissipate that by helping one transcend the false ego by practices and explanations. The Brahmin, and I quote that verse, Tasyeva heto priyate takovido talabhyate yad brahmatam talabhyate dukavad anyatas kalena sarvatra gambhira ramasa. I remember the whole thing, I can't believe it. How to say it's that who's intelligent, Tasyeva heto kovido, who's intelligent, he really aims for that which has purpose. Brahmin, broad-minded. Purpose means eternal. Purpose means eternal. He searches for that which is, and for us, the real intelligent person, not that there's no material life, but that's not the objective. His objective is this purpose, spiritual purpose. So he begins to describe this Brahmin is ignorant, but somehow or other, and I describe this, you can't tell people's karma. The worst rascal can be the greatest saint, and the greatest saint can be the worst sinner. I mean, there's just every life has a certain, at birth, there's boga and there's enjoyment, there's, what your enjoyment is set beforehand, practically speaking. One factor is the endeavor, so maybe it can change a little bit in the future. But, and your death, it's all there. Those things are fixed. Anyway, this Brahmin, so I was explaining is you really don't know how Krishna deals with this individual who's been entangled since time immemorial. who's been entangled since time immemorial, and what experiences we need. Yeah, our boga, our enjoyment and our distress are already outlined. Even we were sitting for lunch with Jai Jagannath, I got to get into this more, but he opens his mouth, it's the Bhagavatam. And he was reading certain verses about the Ajamil story, how chanting the rhyme removes the karma, but not the parabdha karma, the past karma. Somehow, I really have to, kind of discuss this, but it's something like that. The body keeps on going with certain reactions, etc. So you can't tell how God has charted these experiences. What an incredible, and Lord Brahma, who's creating this whole universe that coordinates all these reactions of karma, it's just mind-blowing. When you understand the law of karma, which can be proven by astrology, when you understand there has to be a God, it can't just be by chance. And you experience that. I think one of the greatest proofs of God's existence is our personal experience. Coming to Krishna consciousness, how the experiences we have were connected with certain realizations that we needed to evolve in our consciousness closer to Krishna. I think we all experience that. So somehow or other, he had some kind of mercy coming, and this deity that he was worshiping, Kamaksha, appears in a dream, and he gets this Gopal mantra. And, they're simple. In the Vedic society, it may be ignorant, but they have simple faith, in Shastra and demigods and things. So he takes it up. And it really purifies his heart. But he doesn't have any guru. He doesn't have any sambandhagyan to guide it. All he has is that experience and attraction. So when you don't really have sambandhagyan, but you have some attraction, your movement to the spiritual perfection moves forward, but it doesn't move in a straight line. It's not guided by the proper understanding. So you move here and move there, and that's the material world. I'm dissatisfied here. That's not the truth. Oh, I made this mistake. I'm a fool. It's kind of a very, very slow process of moving forward, as opposed to transcendental knowledge, understanding, having faith. So somehow or other, he becomes free from those desires and begins to desire spiritual life. But he doesn't understand sambandhagyan, real, true, metaphysical knowledge. So he first meets some people with rituals, and it's impressive. Satkarma nipano vipro mantra tantra visharada avaishnavo guru nisyat swapacho. Vaishnava guru, those satkarma, nipano, vipro, mantra, tantra, it's all impressive. And then they're religious, and they're speaking about dharma, but their objective is material. So, because of that mantra that he's taken innocently, and Satyanandana Swami is giving beautiful classes on the holy name and chanting, very beautiful classes, which I occasionally go. This morning I went to his Bhagavatam class. Walked there. We walked there in the morning. Hemalata, Catherine A. Some of you know Catherine A. She goes there, she comes, does Prikram with Hemalata every day. And you can do the prikram 3/4 of half, and you come right by Govardhan Valley. You could sit for the Bhagavatam. And Raghunath's here, and he's doing that too. He's walking around and then sitting in the class, listening. But somehow or other, once you get that connection with God, and he's quite innocent, so you don't commit so many offenses. So once you get that connection with God, that faith in the sublimity of the spiritual process, and when the group came of Kripamoyas, the most ordinary people, he said some of these people live far away from a temple, like a desert. This is like a drop in the desert. Boom! Chanting and dancing without inhibition, without attachment, in ecstasy. This room is magical. And I spoke to them. That's the purpose, to get some experience. That experience becomes your goal, because you can't defeat a spiritual experience. We forget it sometimes. It recedes. When you do not renew faith by regular practices, the remembrance of the experience that brought you forward begins to recede. It begins to recede. So he kind of got bored of all those rituals. It was in Ganga Sagara, a lot of Bengali there. And then somehow he got, and that's what we come up with today, he got another spiritual, is impersonalism. It's to turn away from materialism when the basis of material conception is hate for anything, and there's your superiority of self. It's a tough pill to swallow, that the absolute truth is a person. So it presents in an impersonal way, and it's Jnana-marg. And it was attractive again. Why is it attractive? Because we're suffering in the world, and Jnana relieves suffering. It doesn't give you the bliss. It gives you happiness, but doesn't give you the bliss of bhakti. But just get rid of suffering. All of you here, I'm going to look at the list. You all got your problems. Either it's financial or relational or health, or that you all got your problems. And you suffer from those problems. And you wish they went away, and they're on your mind. And liberation means they're finished. But it finishes the spiritual self too, but it finishes your problems. And boy, do we want liberation. Do we want liberation? So it's attractive. But again, so what happened is, he as it said here, his faith was being damaged. This is the goal. And he started to desire to merge into oneness. And then, and this is a theme, and it's a theme, and I forgot which sadhu in Vrindavan, I wish I remembered, told me, a scholar, that when you're not capable of receiving faith on the corporal or bodily platform, because you're not qualified to have direct communion with God or the pure devotees, they can meet you halfway. They can meet you on the subtle platform. And that's what happens. And he sees the deity of his mantra in a dream. And it attracted him. It gave him he saw Gopal, and in the dream, tan-mantra-devatām Krishna, of him, Gopal, Maha Ramyata, a Krishna like Krishna, attracted by the Ramyata. He was attracted by Gopal's, and that attraction, Paramananda Gotra, and he was experiencing Paramananda, the greatest happiness. And therefore, nalabhe, najapanya, pravitauhi, and for engagement, for other than experiencing of that mantra, japanya, anything other than mantra, nalabhe samano balam. He didn't have any mental manobalam to do anything but that mantra. He can no longer find the mental strength for anything else. For sannyas, liberation, sacred baths. I know one sadhu in Vrindavan, he said, what are you going to Kumbh Mela for? You're in Braj. What are you going to Kumbh Mela for? You're in Braj. And I know this great saint in Vrindavan, a godbrother of mine, Vibhu Chaitanya, one of the greats. From the time he came, he was a grain merchant that just left home for spiritual life. By the time he came, he cooked from 2 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. Prabhupada said he didn't have to chant his rounds. He was chanting all day. He would cook every offering. And I always tell the story that when they replaced him, it was 6 men. They replaced him with 6 men. And when he got too sick to even hand out the Charanamrita, and he was confined to his bed, he was with 4 other people. He didn't even have his own room. So damn spoiled. Those Westerners are so damn spoiled. We're so damn spoiled. Here he is dying and he's sharing his room. So he had a bed next to shelves. He had a picture of Radha Shamsundar, and they'd send him all the Mahadeity garlands, and from his bed he would decorate them. So sometime he had so much faith, he never left the Krishna Mandir in like 25 years. He never left it. And then someone brought him Jagannath Mahaprasad. He got so angry. He said, I got Radha Shamsundar Mahaprasad all day. What do I have to have Jagannath Prasad? What is this? So, the mantra. So then what happened is, you develop confusion. Because on the intellectual platform, this is one, but your feelings are this, and that's why we like to go to people of wisdom, because our decisions determine our fate. And we often don't know which way to go, because there's philosophy and there's application of philosophy. And we often don't know which way we should turn. So, iti kartavyata mudho dina san swapinam agataha taya devya sahagata tatra adishta shivena. Confused about what he should do, he became depressed. Then in another dream, Lord Shiva came to him along with the goddess to instruct him. So that's called by higher sentiments. His heart was drawn to Lord Gopal, but his mind was in dilemma. Should I take sannyas and strive for liberation, or should I chant my mantra? Such is the likely result of fellowship with impersonalists. One's determination becomes fickle. and one cannot choose the right thing to do. In this third appearance, in the Brahman's dreams, the goddess Kamakya, along with her husband, Lord Shiva, the Lord of Kashi, to make her presentation more convincing. So she came. Namurka kuru sannyasam drutam Srimataram Bṛhad tatta vindavane vyasyam purnartastam bhavishyasi. Lord Shiva said, foolish man, don't take sannyas. Go at once to Sri Mathura. There in Vrindavan forest, you shall surely fulfill all your desires. That's what I feel. Go at once to Vrindavan. It really fulfills all your desires. Real desires for happiness and connection with God. Yeah. Satkanta mataram gantum mahustam kirtayam stata satadesha disham gacham prayagam prapyavartmani. Eager to go to Mathura, the Brahmin set off towards that district all the way chanting his glories. On the way, he came to Prayag. So, where was he before? Kashi. He was in Kashi. Now he goes to Mathura, and what does he do? He chants all the way there. What Shiva told him, go, and he chant. He repeatedly chanted, Mathura, Mathura, Mathura. So, Tasmil lasan madhavapada padme gangasrita shri jamunamanogye snanaya mago shashi tirtaraje praptan sasadhum shashatoshat shatosho dadarsha. There at the king of holy places, by the charming Jamuna within the Ganga, he found hundreds of saints who had gathered near the effulgent lotus feet of Lord Madhava to bathe at the dawn in the month of Magh. So this is the Kumbh Mela. And purport Prague is called the King of Tirthas because there one discovers one's heart's devotion for the personality of Godhead. At Prayag, the Ganga and Jamuna unite, and downstream from their confluence, the Jamuna is considered present on one side of the Ganga. This is the Jamuna within the Ganga. Ganga and Jamuna are not only physically united at Prayag, but they share an intimate bond of love for Krishna. So yeah, that Kumbh Mela, I went many, many, many years ago, and that bath was pretty ecstatic. Freezing cold, middle of winter, 5 a.m. in the morning. Boy, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It was great. And I just read an article, 600 million people attended. Like 50 million people on the days of bathing. ISKCON has a center there in Bhakti-Vigyan Swami. He said he couldn't even get to this. He couldn't go in, but that was also on their centers on the Ganga. So the center had boats that would go, so it was very easy, and went out in the middle and bathed. Also, Madhava Mishra, the grandson of Prabhupada's first disciple, Acharya Babaka, who's kind of Brahmatirtha, like arranged, he met him here. He's kind of larger than life. I mean, it's just from another world. He always brings me nice gifts. And he went, and they had 5-star hotels on the side of the Ganga. 5-star hotels who built platforms with tents and servants and hot water and heat, and they built it right on they say that that Uttar Pradesh made like $60 billion, something extraordinary, but these hotels, and they would charge, I think, like $2,000 a day. I mean, it was exorbitant, but they had their own bathing god. So he invited me that I could stay in the hotel. Had no interest. A little interest. It was next door. Yeah, people know me. I don't like to travel. Except we walk around Govardhan. It's 2.5 hours. The weather's super ideal now. But yeah, so he's there. And what does he find? Saints who gathered near the lotus feet of Lord Madhava to bathe at dawn in the month of Magh. India is God's country. And Prabhupada, the ISKCON is huge. Not only ISKCON, but Ritvik, the things that follow Prabhupada are just huge and influential. Really influential here. Yeah. And kind of India it's God's country. There's materialism, but the spiritual aspect. I think in Delhi, I think they have 16 temples. Several just built. And there's one in Bombay now. I mean, it just goes on and on. Namhatas. Bharate bhumate hoila manusha janmayara janma sartaka kara kara para upakara. One is born in India is fortunate. Bharate bhumate manusha janmayara. Yara means fortunate. Manusha janma. Bharate bhumate hoila manusha janma sartaka kara para upa. They're supposed to work for the benefit of others. So it's encouraging to see people like this Gauranga Darshan. Very saintly, humble, but the way he chants one verse after another, it's like amazing. But he came up to me like I was I never met him, but he came up to me with other brahmacharis from Chopati like I was like a rock star because they read Waves of Devotion. Just like, you know me, my mantra, I'm an ordinary guy from Brooklyn. Can't identify with that. Okay. Te sham sata gita nati stavadibi Shri Vishnu pujotsavam aikshata tanamma sankirtana vajyanartane premnarta nadhai rudidashta shobitam. On every side before him, he saw them conducting a great festival of worship for Sri Vishnu, with expressions of joyous devotion like constant singing, offering of obeisance, and recitation of prayers. The loud congregational chanting of the Lord's name, along with music, dancing, sobbing, and plaintive cries of love was attractive. So this is Jaiva Dharma too, that the story begins. There was a sannyasi, Tyagi, meditating, renounce. But when one real pure Vaishnav walked by in Banarsi singing, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai. He just, it's like boom in his heart, the attraction. See, you can imagine what was happening there. Tesham Siddha Gita Nati Stava Adibi, constant singing, offering of obeisances and prayers, puja utsavam, a festival of puja. Actually, he saw, all around, Nam Sankirtan, chanting the holy names, Vadya with music, Nartana dancing and praying in pure love, with Arta Nade with cries and sobbing, and it was so attractive. That's what he saw. Purport, in addition to what the verse specifically mentions, the Brahmins saw the elaborate arrangements for feeding and worshiping the Lord in his deity form. The same deity, Bindu Madhav, was seen by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he visited Prayag. It's hard to stop, but we'll just do one more. Subudho vismayam prapto vaishnavam prijati smatan he ghayaka bandino re dandavat patino bhuvi. Innocent, ignorant, and amazed, he said to those Vaishnavas, "Excuse me, you singers, you recitative prayers, and you who are falling on the ground like rods. My dear musicians, my dear chanters and dancers, loudly crying out Ram Krishna. You men adorned with beautiful tilak and attractive garlands, please calm down for a moment and stop making such a racket. What is this ceremony you are observing? Whom are you so reverently worshiping?" So, some of the Vaishnavas simply laughed at hearing this. Others told him, "You fool, just be quiet." Yet others, compassionate to fallen souls, said to him something else. The holy Vaishnavas say, "Hey, bewildered son of a Brahmin, don't you understand anything? Don't ever again address devotees of Vishnu like that and speak to them such nonsense." Initiated by our gurus, we are worshiping the Supreme Lord Vishnu with mantras and methods they have given us. O best of the Brahmins, we worship the Lord in various forms. Some of us worship him in his features Nrsinga, some as Raghunath, and others as Sri Gopal. Sri Parikshit said, hearing this made the Brahmins feel ashamed. With great humility but with joy he asked them, "Where does this Lord live? What is he like? What benefits is he able to grant?" And the holy Vaishnava said, "He's the supreme master and he always lives everywhere, both within and without. No one anywhere compares to him in any respect." Okay, anyway, I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this. And we look at the names there, and we have a nice, respectful crowd of